All right. So it would appear, anyway, judging from this article we're going to look at, that Warner Brothers may be purchased by Saudi Arabia, which is the same people currently who own SNK. Let's have a look. So over on Cosmic Book News, we're going to go through this article. It's quite a bit. First and foremost, just to re-clarify that since 2002, under the Saudi Arabian MISC Foundation, SNK is owned by them, right? So, and of course, we got Fatal Fury. I think Fatal Fury is a pretty awesome game. I think it was very well polished, a lot of great characters in there. I don't know if there's any future content coming out for it or whatnot, but right now, I think it's a solid fighter. But it just may be that it just wasn't popular enough. The name isn't as big as King of Fighters or Samurai Showdown or something like that. But anyway, it says here, Saudis buying Warner Brothers Discovery is one signature away, says Hollywood producer. Don't forget also that Saudi Arabia recently purchased up EA, so Electronic Arts. So they're now part of that. And it seems that the Saudis are starting to really push into the gaming space in a big way. Hollywood producer Patrick Akaliguri has revealed that Saudi Arabia was on the verge of purchasing Warner Brothers Discovery, saying the deal is about one signature away from being complete. His update arrives as the internet has begun buzzing with speculation about who will control DC, Warner Brothers, HBO, and the rest of Warner Brothers Discovery's massive library. I'm gonna assume here, like this is the gaming stuff, right? Like this is all part of the gaming stuff because Warner Brothers is making Mortal Kombat movies as well, which is then tied in with the game. So I'm assuming this is all, interconnected. Kelly Guri, whatever you say his name, Kelly here going, who says he first reported the possibility of a Saudi buyout back on October 16th, is now pointing out that many online outlets are repackaging his information as their own. According to him, the source of the rumor is clear, and it's him. The deal is almost done. Excuse me. In his latest update, he says that the direct media contacts inside Saudi Arabia who are telling him the deal is close to being finalized. He describes the sources as solid and says he is trusting their information completely, even if it means risking his reputation if the story is wrong. He acknowledges that there is still a degree of uncertainty, obviously, especially regarding whether Comcast could be involved in some additional component of the acquisition. There are still questions about whether Warner Brothers will be broken into pieces. Now, we've heard about this before. I'm pretty sure years ago they started talking about like breaking off and selling off their company piecemeal, with elements like HBO Max potentially being carved off. But according to him, the core matter remains unchanged. The Saudi Public Investment Fund is aiming to buy Warner Brothers Discovery outright. He added that Paramount has made multiple bids in the $60 billion range, but Saudi Arabia's $1 trillion fund dwarfs every other player in the running. Right? Just as a side note, right? Like, anyone that's like banking on any of that woke shit, it's dead. If they get hold of it, you can kiss all that goodbye. It's gone, right? They don't tolerate that shit, right? They don't tolerate that shit whatsoever, and that's really cool, right? Like I said, whether you like Fatal Fury or not, it's a solid fighting game, right? I don't find anything in it to be woke. I don't find anything in it to be sort of egregious in that particular sort of like political landscape. It looks amazing. It plays amazing, So yeah, and if they're investing in this stuff, and given obviously their faith proclivities, then yes, I almost guarantee that they will never even entertain any of that sort of stuff like ever again, or not ever again, like ever, as far as they go, right? Which means hopefully we can get gaming going back to being gaming, right? He says that after spending time in Saudi Arabia, pushed into global entertainment is accelerating. The country has been aggressively expanding through its public investment fund, buying EA Sports, investing in LIV Golf, and pumping billions into film, television, sports, and tourism. He says that after spending time in Saudi Arabia only 3 weeks ago, it's clear the nation is going all in on media and sees Hollywood assets as long-term future investments. Well, the funny part is like they might actually do better. They might do better than what Hollywood is. You know what I mean? We've also been told that if the Saudis buy Warner Brothers Discovery, Zack Snyder could return with his Snyder. See, this right here, we work all the salt and tears that we would be getting out of certain individuals. Not to mention the fact that, like, actually getting Zack Snyder to complete his magnum opus, I would consider it, would be incredible. If anyone's watched Zack Snyder's Justice League, actual 3-hour proper Justice League movie, the one that we should have gotten in the cinemas instead of the Justice League cut down, Marvelized version, it is like night and day. It carries on the same tempo, tone, just everything is just, oh, goosebumps. Look at that shit, right? Just amazing stuff. So, you know, that would be gigantic. That would be huge. Like, unimaginably huge. Why Hollywood media is quiet about this? He also points out that no major Hollywood trade outlet has reported anything about a potential Saudi takeover. Instead, they continue to focus on the Ellison Skydance pursuit of Warner Brothers Discovery and the chatter around Netflix and Amazon positioning themselves for a possible bid. I did know, and I didn't cover it, but yes, there was talk about Netflix doing that. And then you could absolutely kiss your Mortal Kombat goodbye. I mean, it'll just be a shit show, right? According to him, all of that is now outdated. He says his sources inside the Saudi deal is nearly complete, and that the timeline matches what David Zaslav says, hinted at. Warner Brothers Discovery expects to announce its new owner by December. What this means? It means standing firm on his report, Saudi Arabia is closing in on Warner Brothers Discovery. Ellison's Paramount, Comcast, Netflix, and Amazon may still be circling, but the money momentum and the internal channel all point in one direction. Yeah, like you've got fuck you money, and then there's like the fuck you money's got fuck you money. That's Saudi money. The fuck you money has its own fuck you money. The fuck you money has its own pension. It's got its own income. It's got its own salary in on itself, right? That's how much money. I don't know why they got. And why they got so much money? Is it because of all the oil? I think. I don't know. But they obviously got a fuck ton of it, right? And you got a big player in there, right? You're the big fish, and we got little fish. They're not going to bother with the little fish, right? If he's correct, the entertainment landscape could shift dramatically, and DC Studios, DC Comics, HBO, CNN, Warner Brothers Films, and the entire Warner Brothers Discovery ecosystem would fall under brand new ownership before the year ends. I think. I mean, look, so people will go, well, you know, who do I want to take over Mortal Kombat? I've talked to and I generally point to like fighting game companies. I think Arc System Works would do an amazing job. They usually have pretty tight gameplay and respectable product output when it comes to their games. So obviously, like if the Saudis buy it, right, there's going to be a culling, right? There's going to be a hell of a culling, you know, when it comes to like all facets of who is employed and whatnot, because they're not going to stand for that woke shit, right? They're not going to stand for that woke shit, okay? And so I think yeah, listen, could it be good? I don't know. Like I said, Fatal Fury is an incredibly solid fighting game, right? I think it's an amazing fighting game, okay? Just because it doesn't do commercially well doesn't mean to say that it was a flop, because the product itself is great. Everything about it feels very polished and good. Probably just, yeah, and I know they went crazy on the marketing, but it's Fatal Fury. I mean, like, you're not going to light the world on fire, because I think, to be perfectly honest, I think King of Fighters has replaced Fatal Fury in terms of, like, you know, being the big dog. You know, like, when we think of SNK, most people gravitate, oh, Fatal Fury. Maybe Samurai Showdown. Samurai Showdown 2019 was actually a pretty solid fighter. Doesn't mean to say that they can't make the game, because apparently there's an art of fighting game in the works, apparently still. So I'm not worried. Like, yeah, I'm not so much worried. Maybe, just like getting away from American ownership would probably do it the world of good, right? You know, because they obviously not stupid. Like they know what to do with their money and their investments and stuff, right? So therefore, I think it might actually be pretty interesting. And like to have, you know, like something under, something under that banner, you know, under a brand new ownership banner, completely left field. Like, who would it think? Imagine who would think, like, Saudis would be owning, say, Warner Brothers, you know, and in charge of Mortal Kombat, right? And it could go two ways. I mean, this is the thing that people need to realize is like, look, you know, if it got ruined, we still got the old games, right? Just because one game in a franchise is shit doesn't ruin the whole bunch, okay? So, you know, but maybe, just maybe, right? You know, that might actually end up being a really, really good thing because they take no shit. They take no shit, right? And they're not going to tolerate. They're not. Do you really think they've been looking at what's been happening in the Western gaming sphere and going, you know what, we're going to bank on that? No. No, they can see, so they look at things like Lord of the Rings and obviously Harry Potter that we can see on screen and stuff like that, right? And go, oh, you know, these are billion-dollar franchise. I mean, billion-dollar franchises, right? They're not going to give a shit about your pronouns. They're not going to give a shit about your fucking worldview or any of that dumb shit. They want to make sure, by the sounds of it, that they want to really kick into this space, make a big headway. Yeah, you know, we're going to give gaming back to the gamers. That's kind of how it feels. And like I said, Fatal Fury didn't exactly set the world on fire, but it's a solid product, top to bottom. It's a solid product. I mean, there are probably people out there that could fault it, but from a professional casual perspective, I'm actually pretty stoked with what they did with it. Very flashy. It's very good, right? So, I'm kind of excited, right? Because if Amazon bought it, it's fucked. If Netflix bought it, it's fucked. Like, these companies, you know, can't seem to get out of their own way. Sure, we're seeing some of these companies dropping DEI and stuff. I think Squaresoft has gutted. Squaresoft. Wow. Holy God, that's an old name. Sorry, my bad. Square Enix, right? Woo! Just bringing back the 90s there for a second. Anyway, so Square Enix, like, they gutted, I think, their American, like, side of developers or whatever they're doing. Because they've had a gutful of basically these Western developers and shit, messing with their crap. You got crappy, you know, localizers from everything from anime to games, changing stuff because they feel like they should. You didn't make it. Shut the fuck up. You have no rights here. Do your fucking job or get your ass fired and handed out the door. Right? Simple as that. So I'm kind of looking at I honest to God, I want somebody in charge of Mortal Kombat with a no-nonsense approach. Right? A no-nonsense approach. And by the way, because I know the Saudi government watches my stuff. I know they do, right? So I'd like to, we can put forth, let's put forward some recommendations here. So we want Total MK. We want Total MK in the head of like the marketing, and he's basically the media guy, right? We're gonna get MK Tom Brady in there. He can do all the game testing and stuff like that, right? We're gonna get who else can we get in there? We're gonna get we'll get Mike in there. He can he's the bouncer. Mike can be the bouncer. Hey, listen, he's doing all the weights, right? Mike can be the bouncer. He can kick everyone's ass out if they're not doing their fucking job, right? And I'll take a shadow paycheck, right? Just for recommending those people. You know? Oh, John Tobias needs to be in charge. There we go. All right. You got all that Saudi money, give it to fucking John Tobias, right? Get him in charge. Because I tell you what, man, like, the more I think about it, the more excited I get about, you know, maybe, just maybe, you know, change. What do they say? Change is as good as a holiday. Maybe this is what's needed. Maybe these American companies are just simply inept and are just willing to just throw themselves around their own stupid ass sword all the time, you know, in the vain attempt of virtue signaling and all this sort of crap. Maybe we need fresh eyes, right? And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I mean, you know, I'm not investing the fucking billions of dollars, right? Or trillions of dollars. It's not my money, right? But I'm trying to go with glass half full here. Like, I'm just saying, okay, well, listen, hey, like, you know. And I've seen some of the memes, you know, people are worried about, like, you know, whether, like, you know, because obviously because of their faith, they believe in you know, in their faith, and I have my faith, right? But I don't believe any faith should encroach upon an artistic product, right? And I'm hoping, right? And again, I don't think it happened in Fatal Fury, right? Because they're sure as shit with giant jugs in that fucking game. So I'm pretty sure that, like, Fatal Fury, you know, wasn't sort of being censored in any way due to any religious proclivities, right? I don't think we should force any ideology onto a video game, because the video game has to have mass appeal, right? And that's why all the ideology from the left and stuff doesn't work. It would be the same thing as if you tried to make every game a Christian game. It wouldn't work, because that way people would just reject it. It's like, well, I don't believe in it, right? I don't want this stuff kind of shoved in my face, and I think that's fair. This is all for entertainment, right? I don't want to be preached at. And I don't want games, even in my faith, I don't want games to be preachy to people, right? I want them to just enjoy the games for what they are. Leave all of the other stuff at the door. Politics, religion, leave it all out, right? As best you can. So I'm kind of excited to see about where this could go. Because I tell you what, as I said, it'll be a hell of a shake-up. It'll be a hell of a shake-up, man. And I think that's what's needed. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. Catch you next time.